Good morning, everyone. I am here in Florida. It's kind of been, guess where Sarah is the last month or so as I've been traveling and helping my parents move. We are finally all moved down into their new house in Florida. So that's where I am today, helping them get set up. And so I'm excited to come to you, even though I've been on the road a little bit. So this morning, I'm going to be talking to you about the cost of really starting a business, the real costs, the hidden costs, the ones you didn't think about, and also give you a little bit of business background on how to start making decisions about spending money and spending time on your business. My name is Sarah, and I am a startup coach, and one of the things that I love the most is helping people get started, whether it's starting a business or starting a project. I have a lot of energy to help people get started. I've heard recently from a lot of people, man, if I could just get started on something, I think I could really accomplish a lot. And that's where I come in. I love to help in that startup process. You can also avoid the mistakes that I made as I started my own business by learning from me. I love sharing my mistakes so that other people don't have to make them. And if you've missed any of my other Facebook Lives, then I would encourage you to go back and check those out. They are in the guide section in my Facebook group. So welcome. We are at the tail end of our series on starting up a business. And I've got lots of great videos, as I mentioned, about how to do that. You can check those out in my guide section. But today we're going to be talking about the real costs of starting a business. Starting a business is not free. I think you see a lot on social media or posts or ads that say start a business for free and get started today. And it's just not true. There is a cost to starting a business, whether you are starting with an MLM or affiliate marketing or online coaching, bookkeeping, whatever kind of business you're starting, there really is a cost to it. People who say that you can start a business with little or no money and jump into 5 figures a month are just not telling you the whole story. That person who's advertising it might have been able to do it, but what they're not telling you is that they took 100 hours a week to do it over the course of months or even years to get there. It's not an overnight success. Even when it looks like it, the person who has had that success has probably been working very, very hard behind the scenes to make that happen. And that's the reality of starting a business. It does cost you something. And like all the other trainings I've done, I want to help you start thinking like a business owner. I don't want to just tell you what to do, but I want to ask you good questions that get you to start thinking of what's going to work best for your business, because what works for mine does not necessarily mean it's going to work for yours. And I want you to start thinking in terms of cost in 2 ways for your business: time and money, because building a business costs you both, and they both have value. Both time and money have value. It's like on a scale, you have to learn how to balance that time and money. They're always competing for each other, and they both have a weight of value to them. And you get to choose, as you're building your business, what you are going to spend. And I know what you're thinking, that you're probably saying, Sarah, time is free, but is it really? And so I want you to start thinking about time in terms of money as well, and value. So let's go through a couple of scenarios. I've mentioned this one if you've watched my videos before. When I first started, I didn't have a lot of money to spend. I had very little time also to spend on it, because at that time I was working a full-time plus job as a school administrator. But I was willing to work hard. So I decided that I was going to build my own website. I figured I would learn how to do it. I'm a smart person. I could do the technology. My husband's also very techie. And I also decided that I would do my own graphics. I didn't really know what I was doing, so I just thought, hey, I'll try this out. But the reality is that I ended up spending hours and hours and hours and months and months and months, and really over the better part of a year, learning and downloading freebies and trying everything to learn WordPress and Canva, because I wasn't willing to spend any precious money on getting help with technology or with graphics or paying someone to do it for me. And so here's what that cost me. It really cost me my sanity. I learned that I was not cut out for tech. I got angry with my husband, who's actually very techie himself, because he would try it and it wouldn't work. And so I tried duct taping really together my business on the technology side and the graphic design side, and I hated every moment of it. I had to gear myself up to do the work. I had to give myself a pep talk. Oftentimes I would only work when my family wasn't home because I would get so angry. And it really sent me down a path of believing that I couldn't do this, that I wasn't able to do it, and I was 100% miserable, and I dreaded working, and anything related to technology sent me into a tailspin. So it really cost me, even though I had the time and I had the energy and I was willing to work hard, it really cost me a lot of mental sanity trying to figure it out. Then, a little while later, after months and months of doing that, I decided to spend $120. Yes, you heard that right. $120 was all it took to purchase a template for my website. There's a really great company called Restored 316 if you want to build a website, and I highly recommend $120 is totally worth it to buy a template from them. And I love my website. It took very little time to set it up. I love my website now. I love the way it looks. After months and months and months of frustration and trying to do it on my own, I realized that spending a very little amount of money had a high rate of return on it, a high return on investment for me to have a website that I do love. Now, in that whole process, I did learn how to do WordPress, and there's a lot of things that I know now that I didn't know back then about technology, but it really cost me a lot of mental anguish and energy and frustration in order to get that. And I'm not sure on that scale of time and money if that knowledge that I have now about websites is really worth all of that frustration that I had for so long. So I want you to start thinking of things this way. Let's say if you're a coach or even a service provider or a product provider, let's say that you charge a round number of $100 an hour for your services. That if you were working hard and you had a client or you were selling your product, you could make $100 an hour. And let's say you spent 10 hours working on something like a website. You have now just spent $1,000 to do that, because you would have been making $100 an hour if you hadn't been doing that technology piece. And so that has really helped me decide what I'm going to spend my time on, is how much money would that cost me if I were actually working with a client. So building your business is going to cost you either time or money. It just depends on what currency you want to spend. And I really want you to start getting that idea that time does have value to it. Paying someone to help you through the toughest parts of your business can really be a good investment. There is a physical and mental cost to trying to do it on your own. The other thing that I want to encourage you with on the cost part is, as a business owner, you have to start taking the emotions out of making these decisions. You run a business, you are a business owner, you are in charge, and there are expenses. You have to be clear in your mind that you want to make these decisions well. And so you have to go back to that balance of time and money. If you only spend money, then the scale really tips far in your favor, and the time swings back up, because if you spend a bunch of money because you have money, now you're going to have a bunch of time because you're paying someone else to do it. But then you aren't learning how to do it, you're just paying someone, and you have to be able to make a lot of money to make up for the money that you're paying. But if you spend a lot of time in your business, then you're probably not going to make a lot of money fast because you're spending so much time building the back end of it. You're not actually providing a service and a product to someone because you're doing all of this behind the scenes work. So you really have to find that balance of, I'm going to spend some money so that it frees up some time so that I can actually start making money. Money can shorten the process of building your business, but you have to be able to balance back and forth that money and time. I also want to encourage you, I do have a video about celebrating, and I also talk about discouragement in that video, and that's a really great one to watch to help yourself start overcoming and thinking like a business owner, to really battle that discouragement that you might have about having to spend money or having to spend time to build your business. And so sometimes spending money really is a good decision. So I want to run through, if you want to grab a pad of paper and pencil, some costs that you're actually going to have with building a business. So here are some things that you can expect. One is that you're going to need graphics. No matter what business you have, whether you're a bookkeeper, a coach, you sell jewelry, whatever you do, you're going to need to have some graphics. You may work for an MLM or another company that provides some, but you're probably going to want to have some graphics that are distinct to you so that people start to recognize you, and although they associate you with whatever company you work for, you have your own graphics that make you stand out and you solve their problem differently than other people do. So you can either do this on your own. I do a lot of my graphics on my own, and then I pay someone else for the professional graphics like a logo. But you can use a program like Canva or PicMonkey, and then you'll probably have some expense to pay someone for a logo, but you can use a program like Fiverr to get logos. They don't have to be expensive to get started, and graphic programs like Canva and PicMonkey do have free versions that you can use for a while, but that's going to be an expense. You're also going to need an email program, because if you watched my video from a couple weeks ago, you know you need to have email going first thing in your business, and so you can go back and watch that video. You're also probably going to want to have some sort of website. You don't have to start with a website. You can do a lot without a website, but you're probably going to want a website, a host. You're going to need to purchase a domain name, and probably purchase a template, just like I talked about. And I'll come back and answer some of the questions about these programs that you have. And then publishing programs that will auto post your Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest posts. I use Tailwind for Pinterest, which I pay for, but then I've opted to use the Facebook Business Suite, so that I don't pay for another program to post all my social media. But all my social media is auto posting, so that when I'm on vacation or away or busy, and I'm not tied to my computer to post at the right times, those programs will tell you when to post, when your viewers are most likely to be online, and then post it for you so that you're not always sitting at your computer. You're probably going to want a project manager. There's one, or not HubSpot, Asana. There's a bunch of project management so that you can keep track of your projects and not have 5 million sticky notes. I do it on paper just because I'm kind of old school that way, and I have a really great system that works for me, so I don't pay for that. But if you have a lot of trouble keeping track of details, you might want to pay for a program. And then some people pay for a customer relationship management program. They're called CRM, and that's like Pipedrive or HubSpot, that manages all of your customer relations, who you're talking